one of the questions that I get a lot on the blog site is questions about my own discernment and how did I discern to become a priest from being an actor. And I guess it's not an easy question to answer because, you know, like most people think that discernment is about just making choices, whether to choose A or B, whether to remain an actor or to become a priest. And though that is part of it, it goes beyond that. And it's something I mentioned, I think, in a previous posting about really getting in touch with your own desires. What is it that moves you? What is your fundamental disposition, your orientation towards life? Getting in touch with that and really listening to what your own deepest desires are, because fundamentally your deepest desires is God's deepest desires for you. And it's about, you know, uniting our will with God. And it's not an easy thing to sort of figure out or even listen to, but it takes prayer, it takes time, and it takes conversations with other people to really get a sense of what it is that God is asking of you. Because ultimately that's what discernment is. Getting in touch with what God's desires are for you, and not simply making a choice, my choice of A or B. You know, we have a bazillion choices to make each day, whether to eat breakfast or not, whether to call a friend or not, whether to speak to your mom or not. And those are all fine, great, you know, important decisions to make during the course of the day. But when it comes to discernment, it's really about figuring out what is it that is in my heart that I need to pay attention to and really listen to with regards to God's desires for me. There's actually a website out there run by Loyola Press called ignationspirituality.com. And it's a great website that has, it's a great resource really for discernment and figuring out what discernment is, figuring out a vocation, just reading up about Ignatian spirituality. Check it out. Again, ignationspirituality.com. And I've been on that site, and I checked it out, and everything is categorized very nicely, and you have articles written by by Jesuits and Jesuit partners that talk about Ignatian spirituality. So it's worth taking a look at. I wish I had it when I was discerning back in 2000. Because I think it would have been very helpful for me to kind of figure out and understand better what it is that God is asking of me. But in the meantime, I mean, for myself, my own story and my own discernment, like I said, it's been an ongoing process. When I first made the decision to enter, what really, and I think I mentioned this before, what really turned me around to say yes was a prayer experience that I had during a discernment retreat where I got this real sense of Jesus falling in love with me. It sounds strange, but it's a relationship, and ultimately that's why I'm a Jesuit, is because of my relationship with Christ. That comes in prayer, that comes in interactions and encounters with other people, that comes through discernment, you know? Because again, part of discernment is figuring out whether this movement is from God, whether it's not from God, whether it's just from myself, you know? And that's why it's important to have a spiritual director along the way of your own discernment, regardless of whether it's about religious life or religious vocation, or getting married, or staying single, or whatever major life decision that you may be faced with. So, actually, there are other categories for those kinds of discernment issues in that ignationspirituality.com website. Anyway, so for myself, again, it was really about paying attention to that inner movement of falling in love with Jesus and Jesus falling in love with me. And in the end, I just paid attention to my heart and where my heart was leading me. And when you make that eventually make that leap of faith to say, yes, I will, in my situation, yes, I will enter. I will join the Jesuits. Part of the discernment is then you pray for confirmation. And for me, all along my formation, I've been receiving that confirmation, whether it's through my own prayer, whether it's through conversations with other Jesuits, whether it's through conversation with my friends, whether it's in the ministry that I do, working with at-risk youth, or working with children dying of cancer, or working with adults in faith formation, working with CLC groups, things like that, directing retreats, you know, accompanying people along their journey to help them get out of the hole that they find themselves in. Sort of like the story that I told you about at St. Agnes, that jumping into the hole with people and saying, look, I've been here and I know the way out. Let me help you, right? Because you need help. Or at least help them help themselves, right? So I hope that makes sense. You know, I'll probably talk more about this in coming blogs, but I just felt like I needed to talk about that now with regards to my own discernment. So I hope that you'll check out that website by ignatianspirituality.com, run by Loyola Press, and continue to pray. Continue to pray with me and for me as I continue along this journey on my path to priesthood. Thanks for joining. God bless.